monsters wanna talk to me. No quarter drawn by lawyers on a crimson sea. Weep like willows, break like waves. We are fragile creatures on collision with our judgment day.
Hey there, this is Jimmy Talarico, Monster Whisperer, and I am excited to have you with me. Should be a great topic for us today. So let's get started, shall we? I could not believe it when I got off the stage after giving my TEDx talk about sitting with our monsters. One of the volunteers asked me if I'd ever heard of internal family systems developed by psychologist Dr. Richard Schwartz. I had not, but I was completely amazed to find out that what I discovered on my own through befriending my internal monsters was actually a viable and growing psychological practice. Dr. Schwartz developed this idea through clinical psychology. He counseled dozens and dozens of people and saw a clear pattern begin to develop. We all had many parts within us that acted like individual people. I know, I had the same question too. Are you sure this isn't just promoting multiple personality disorders or something? Well, turns out it's not. Turns out Dr. Schwartz helped many people over many years have an experience with these inner monsters that I kind of just stumbled upon. I'll share more about that story in a later post. The point here is this is one of the fastest growing psychological methods being used today. Dr. Schwartz promotes this as a self-care tool that we all can have access to in the privacy of our own homes. You can read all about this in his book, No Bad Parts. It was absolutely validating for me to learn about this method, and the book was nothing short of life-changing, particularly for these three reasons. 1, no bad parts, period, meaning our monsters are actually good. 2, healthy internal families mirror healthy physical families. And 3, yourself is fully capable of leading you to your strengths. First point, no bad parts, period. This is essential to understand when you start this process. I stressed it in my TEDx talk, and I stressed it in my free 5-step guide. Our monsters, or what IFS refers to as parts, want to be loved. They respond to love and empathy. They respond to being cared for. When our monsters know ourself, who we are at our core, is showing up to lead, they will most likely be relieved, and they will eventually become allies. Their traits that seemed harmful will actually become supplemental to your strengths. Second point, healthy internal families mirror healthy physical families. In IFS, you'll learn that your monsters can be thought of as angry children who are acting out because they haven't been parented well. Think about a neglected child. Think about how they will act in order to protect themselves. Because we don't know any better when bad things happen to us as kids, we typically develop unhealthy coping mechanisms. But just like in our external world, if these children are met with unconditional love and acceptance, they can become healthy. I was amazed at how quickly I felt my internal monsters' desire to feel loved and let their guards down when they knew I was there to help. Side note about how you're seen by your monsters. They don't see you as you are. They see you as you were when you were wounded. So they don't know you're an adult. They think you are perpetually the age you were back then. Most people feel a sense of amazement from their monsters when they reveal their current age to them. For me, I felt like they were relieved to know they had a loving adult that would allow them to relax. Even now, just talking about that process, I feel like these parts know there's no longer a need for them to be stressed. I can feel a greater sense of inner peace. That is so comforting. Third point, yourself is fully capable of leading you to your strengths. Your worth and validation will come from that internal self, which is the healthiest place it can come from. Note, when I say self, I'm talking about your core being. It gets activated during this process. It gets a voice. And not only that, it quickly takes on the role of leader, which is its rightful place. Dr. Schwartz makes a very interesting observation about how to distinguish between whether our self is leading or another part is leading. When you're working on getting to know your monsters, typically eyes closed, relaxed breathing, kind of meditative. If you're seeing yourself from a third person perspective, like you're watching yourself from outside of your body, then another part is in control. If yourself is in control, you will see things through your own eyes. That becomes a quick check when you're in a stressful situation, for example. Close your eyes, take some breaths, and observe your internal environment. If you're watching yourself, ask that monster who is trying to lead if it would mind taking a step back and allowing you to lead. In most cases, you'll find the control come back to yourself. This makes it more likely that you will be living from your strengths. I know some of this sounds crazy. It's actually crazy cool how real this is. And I'll say it again. After just stumbling upon this stuff on my own, it was super validating for me to see this as a legitimate and growing field of study. So to wrap it all up, buy the book. There's so much rich content in here. It's worth giving this man your money for his knowledge. If nothing else, research these methods on your own as another resource to understanding your monsters and yourself. Map out your experience. Write down the names of your parts and what they tell you. Find their strengths and get familiar with yourself. Then tell me about it. What was the most unexpected positive thing you learned from your experience? Thank you so much for your time, fellow Monster Whisperers. Till next time, have a great day.
Monsters wanna talk to me.